how do you know that something is worth putting money into? And lead management, what to do with the people that are potentially going to benefit from your services, is one of the biggest disorganized piles of that I've seen across the majority of business owners.
Let me go generate all these leads. Let me go generate these calls. Let me generate these sales opportunities, but you're not tracking. You have no idea what's going on. You're spending money. You're spending time. You're spending people's time, which is yet again money, to not accurately be able to measure the outcomes, to not know where the problem is when it doesn't work. Like, what the are you doing? You don't care to know where it's going? Why?
Thanks for joining us here at Beyond the Pump, where we talk about the business of fitness and nutrition. And today we're going to talk about how to stop spending stupid money. So many people have tons of subscriptions that they have no idea where this money's even going. And it's no different in managing your business. When we talk about having a good return on investment, that means you're going to spend money to make money. Now, one of the dumbest places that we see that people lose that opportunity is in managing the people that are interested in their potentially hiring that company or that brand. And so Steve has a dearth of experience with managing leads and business operations and a really strong specialty in marketing. We would love to throw it over and understand lead nurture, lead management. How do we make sure that we capture these people that are interested, and how do we turn that into a meaningful opportunity that causes our business to actually grow as a health coach? So Steve.
There's probably a chance that you don't care on any level if you lose $1. And you're like, man, if I'm going to lose something, I'd rather lose $1. It probably starts to feel like, man, I don't want to just throw away $10. And if I'd thought about it ahead of time, I'd be like, you know what? Let me pull out a 20. Let me pull out a 50. Let me pull out 100.
If you're not making this, what are you doing? Reinvent the game, baby.
At a certain point in time, you don't want to lose money. Seriously, take a moment. How much money do you not want to just throw away? When does it actually start to hurt? For me, I actually don't want to lose $1. If I do, I probably don't know. But like a $20 bill, like you lose your 20, that bothers me. That hurts. If that bothers you and you don't want to lose that, you need to understand that every lead you generate is worth something. There's the super easy measurable version, okay? How much money you spend every month on all of your marketing efforts divided by the amount of leads you generate is your cost per lead. Mm-hmm. Oh, Steve, I don't spend any money. I do it all organic. Ooh. Well, you probably pay for software, first of all, okay? That costs you money to manage it. There, you might pay for a person, you have a VA, or maybe you're doing it yourself, like whatever. There's probably a hard cost that I can absolutely find to quantify something. So I challenge you first and foremost, if it might help you generate leads and you spend money on it, you're spending money. Even if you're not buying ads, like first of all, okay? Your AI platform that you're asking questions to on what content to put out there is spending money on lead generation.
Mm-hmm. Well, and also, you also want to add the fact that your opportunity cost of time, where people hate making content. And if you're spending time hating doing something and you're not getting a return on it, if you have to create 50 pieces of content and that gets you one person that's interested, like that is your opportunity cost and time of your average amount of time that you spend on clients, how much you bill them. And that's, thousands of dollars, frankly, for most people.
And that's exactly it. Like you move into the time inefficiency of lead generation, of posting, of conversations, texting, DMing, whatever the methodology you're using is. Even if you forget that for a moment, like if we cost per lead in terms of minutes and hours, if you spend 1 hour generating a lead on average, I do 4 hours a day of lead generation times 5 days a week times 4 weeks a month, right? Okay. So 20 hours a week times 4 weeks a month, that's 80 hours a month you're spending generating leads. Mm-hmm. Well, if you generate 80 leads, which I would say is actually pretty decent, that's 1 hour per lead that you're spending. How much money can you go earn for that? Or better yet, let's say you just want to throw your feet up and chill for a moment and not actually work and take a time out and just breathe for a moment because you probably hate what you're doing on a daily basis. There's a cost there somewhere, and it's likely some combination of money and time. Mm-hmm. But people don't manage their leads. And I know on average, you're listening to this, you're not spending $200,000 a month. That's not relatable. But if you were spending $2,000 a month, that's probably a more realistic number. Every one of those leads is somebody who might purchase your services at some point in time in the future. If you're not managing them, like very basically, they should be going somewhere. If it's just a Google sheet, put them there. If it's saving as a contact to a different Google profile on your phone, put them there. In a perfect world, it's in a CRM. We have Rise CRM. It's a part of the coaching operating system. You get certifications and a CRM and business education and templates for $97 a month. Not just a CRM. You get everything else still for $97 a month. Put them there. Wherever it is, put them somewhere and know what's going on. Basic. The second level thing is if I want to go say hi to them and send them an email, you want to try to segment them in some way, shape, or form so you can more effectively contact them. But also don't just get a lead. Run a quick campaign because I'm going to run a scholarship. I learned it from this guy online, and scholarships are the best thing ever, and they get me money. Like if you're going to do that, that's fine, but don't let it sit dormant for 6 weeks or 8 weeks or months. Like say hey once in a while, send them a freaking newsletter. The outcome is in the actions. And if you can show up consistently with proper intent, I promise you on the other side of that, your business is doing what you want to do. Do you not think sending an email to your group of people once a day is better than once a week? The answer is yes. Do you not think once a week is better than once a month? The answer is yes. Do you think once a month is better than once randomly throughout the year? The answer is yes. I'm not saying you have to do once a day, but I'm also telling you, if you're not sending it at least once a week, you're missing out on an opportunity. You're throwing money, you're throwing time down the drain, and like it drives me nuts. Like there's so many tools out there today to help with this stuff. The thought process that $1 million companies aren't doing it. I know there's coaches not doing it. It's like, guys, that's the key to growing your business.
Now that, we give you guys a stream of consciousness, and there are probably more coaches that don't understand the majority of these concepts than there are that are probably listening to this podcast. And those would be some, I would say, mid-level, hey, these are the things when we talk about campaigns, when we talk about nurture, we talk about like, how do you get people to convert into an actual opportunity to deliver your services? Maybe we can start at the beginning real quick and just make sure we're all on the same page, because in a different company, there was a little bit of confusion around what a lead even is. So maybe we start with that. And how would you define a lead, and how should coaches think about leads? That is something that's realistic and tangible for them, that maybe they have no paying clients currently.
Somebody that you have the ability to contact. You can send them a DM on social media. You have their email address, you can send them an email. You have their phone number, you can text them or call them. They live across the street and you go knock on their door. Whatever it is, a lead is somebody that you have the ability to get in touch with, to communicate with, and eventually explain what it is that you do and how you might be able to help them.
So then how do you distinguish that? Because the DM thing becomes an interesting intersection now in evolution, because theoretically you could DM anyone. So would you say that your entire leads list, or the opportunity pool of people that are potentially leads, is all of social media?
Technically, yes. When we think from a funneling perspective, we have our top, middle, bottom of funnel, or we have our hot, warm, and cold leads, like all those components. Some random person on social media is a very cold lead because there's no connection or anything going on, versus somebody that you actually know and you're connected with and you've had conversations with. We don't know if social media is allowing your DM to drop into their inbox or their spam folder. You don't know that unless you get a response, right? There's definitely a quality question to be asked when we're talking about social media. But cold DMing has such a bad name. And trust me, I don't enjoy the idea of let me go out and send cold DMs to people, because it is a cold, no relationship DM, getting in touch with somebody. But here's the crazy thing. If you're in the airport and you're walking around and you start talking to somebody, that was a cold conversation. It's the same thing. You just don't have the in-person interaction to lean on to actually start the relationship and go from there. Cold DMing is a tactic that a lot of people have used to go grow multi-million-dollar businesses. I'm not saying you should or you shouldn't do that. I'm more so just trying to prove the point that everybody on social media is some level of a quality of a lead for you.
So you just mentioned something interesting. And again, if we're considering that people that are listening to this particular episode are not knowledgeable whatsoever and have no idea where to even begin with coaching, or maybe they are coaching, they're doing it for free, and they're looking to start to gain some traction with getting predictable amounts of revenue by way of having more people to service. You mentioned the idea of a funnel. Can you explain that a little bit more? What exactly is a funnel and what purpose does it serve for coaches?
I'm going to say, which there's more, but we'll say there's two funnels: the landing page, website, web funnel that somebody can land on and you control the journey. But there's also this like lead funnel that happens where you move somebody through what is multiple stages of awareness. And most commonly we talk to about they're very cold. They don't know who you are. They don't know what you do. They don't know what problems you can solve for them. Like they have more questions than answers, all the way down to the person that is uniquely aware of what you do. They've correlated to a problem that they have, and they're just truly at that buying decision of, are you the right person? Call it a relationship funnel of the lead journey versus a tactical funnel that exists somewhere on the internet would be the two funnels. The funnel I'm referring to there is that relationship funnel, if you will, where you need to come out giving two people as the opportunity to help build that relationship currency and move them from cold to warm to hot to eventually saying, yes, I want you to help me.
There's probably a fair amount of, when we want to give people a framework to latch onto and to bucketize the information, it sounds like there's like a top of funnel, there's a middle of funnel, and there's probably a bottom of funnel. Is that a decent way for people to just wrap their brain around something?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And the top of funnel would be the cold part. The middle of the funnel would be the relational, like, I know you, maybe I don't trust you yet. So how would you kind of layer in know, like, and trust with that?
Cold is going to be a little bit more about grabbing somebody's attention and
Mhm.
creating an initial unique connection that they're willing to now listen to you one more time. And when they're willing to listen to you that one more time, that next interaction on what you give them, and this is going to apply to like all funnels, if you will, next interaction scratches the right itch for them, where it's going to pull them to middle of funnel or make them a little bit warmer. You need to talk around probably the idea that they have some form of problem that you are likely the person to be able to help them with and solve. So they then can ask themselves the question, oh, well, how would you go about actually solving this problem? And they then are like, cool, I now need that third piece of interaction, that third piece of information to make the next decision in my journey of maybe I want to talk to them specifically around me. And like, imagine you have a deep, dark secret, health and fitness. We're probably on average helping people lose weight or look and feel better, right? They're in a situation where they just don't feel great, whatever it is. Imagine the relationship that you really need to have with that person for them to turn around and go like, man, I'm unhappy with myself. I need to do this thing. Can you help me? That's a lot of courage that we have to elicit from that person. We need to get them down to like just before hot or in hot lead before they're going to make that happen. And if you're just out there going like, hey, I got sales and all these things, like, no, you're not talking to them. Your sale sucks. You need to make sure that they know. Now, your sale matters when they're hot and they know like, oh, you can solve my problem. The price makes sense. Cool. Oh, hey, I got a sale going on. You're going to push them over the line because that'll be the reason they take action. So great. Run something then. What you say, how you say it, the things you're leveraging at those stages matters because you need to scratch again the right itch that they have in that moment.
It kind of goes back to just an aside around sales is it's really easy to sell people water when they're in a desert. It's really hard to sell them water when they live on a beach and they got access to refrigerated water and whatever else, and they don't really need it. That's where people that have to overcome objections, frankly, they've done a terrible job of building and finding the need. But I think that with the top of funnel, the middle of funnel, and the bottom of funnel that we've established here so far, not as the website or the funnel, which, by the way, if you haven't watched that episode, there is a previous episode where Steve walks my Neanderthal marketing ass through what that exactly is. So if you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe and go find that. It's wildly valuable. But with the top of funnel and the middle of funnel specifically, it seems like we go from really cold where people don't know us, we scratch an itch, they stumble across our social media, they stumble across us in public. Now there's some kind of, I know your name or I know something you've said. That moves them then to the middle of funnel where they're maybe a little bit more warmer to us. And so what we're trying to get them to do is care about the things we have to say. And that's where once we talk about lead generation of how do we create awareness, now we move them into nurture, which is how can I potentially help you by virtue of what I share around my expertise. No one ever cares how much you know until they know how much you care. And they don't really care to know that you're an expert in something unless you said something that's interesting or relevant to them, which is where content creation is such a powerful engine for people to start to navigate through this funnel. And that's why social media is the best and worst thing in the world for starting a business. Top of funnel would be lead gen, middle of funnel would be lead nurture, and nurture is where you work on nurturing that relationship and building those ties and showing and demonstrating value and skill set and competencies.
Yep, garnering attention and then moving them through based upon, putting blocks of building the relationship up.
And then bottom of funnel is where they're actually now engaged, or that's where they had the opportunity to sell them?
A little bit of both. Like they're engaged, they're probably asking more questions and trying to better understand what's going on. They understand the problem that they have. They understand how you can help solve that problem, bridge that gap. Like there's an understanding of what's going on. We're now just approaching that buying decision.
Sounds like it's a lot of effort, frankly, to walk a single person through that. And we know from a brick and mortar perspective, you have to have a meaningful engagement. You have to speak to someone and have a reciprocating exchange at least 2 to 3 times. Hey, how's your day going? Good. How's yours? Good. Thanks for asking. What are you up to today? That would be a meaningful exchange. You have to do that 7 to 11 times in person before someone trusts you enough and before you have enough relationship for them to ask if you can help them or to even share something that's deep and meaningful for them, which is where parasocial relationships and social media is kind of a toxic thing because people know you, or at least they feel like they do, but you may not know them. And so when you think about the nature of that, talking to one person 11 times, every time you go and start the clock over by finding new people to talk to instead of continuously talking to the same person, you reset the 11 number all the time. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to ask someone, hey, how's your day going 11 times, much less 11 people 11 times, much less 121 people 7 times and not have it go anywhere. But that's why people suck at converting it. But now there becomes this initial issue of how do you stay organized and know where you even are in that conversation cycle in the funnel. And that's where people are bleeding dollars and time and energy and focus because they're not organized when it comes to that. And we're seeing this at $1 million companies and multi-million dollar companies. So Steve, when you talk about like now that we've put it in perspective and they kind of understand the nature of a funnel, what can people start to do to rectify that? How can they gain traction when it comes to managing those leads and generating them and nurturing them?
Most people in this world probably know who Alex Hormozi is. I would say one of my favorite frameworks when it comes to the idea of nurturing, he has the 3-7-30 email sequence. It's simple and it's easy to follow, right? 3, cold traffic, like starting to get them to just acquaint themselves. 7, create the idea of I understand my problem. I understand how you can solve my problem. 30 is the process of which get them over to that buying decision in a very simplistic form. That's one of the AI tools that we actually built within Rise, was to make sure you just had access to it and you don't have to even go solve the problem, right? Because it's just easy. Is it the only way? Absolutely not. But it is a very easy, simple, and effective way to move people through this journey. You set up an automation, you spend one day, write all your emails, put them all in, and as soon as somebody becomes a lead, you just send them through this sequence. That's the easiest way from an online, not overly getting involved perspective. That said, we can get overly complicated and we continue to have those conversations. The problem is you should be able to understand where the leads that you're currently cultivating are in the journey because of where you're at in your business. Most people are going down this road of listening to everybody online go, I need more leads, I need more leads, I need more leads. No, you just need to talk to your leads that you have better. To your point, if you have to have a 7, 11, 27 interactions with somebody, the number's the number. On average, it's going to take you a certain amount of time to create the outcome you want. So why don't you take the 15 people you have and try to get to 7, 11, 27, whatever it is, before you find 15 more? Just focus on that. Write the newsletter, send the text message out on Sunday night. Hey, quick tip of the week. Whatever you want to do to fit you, go do it. 99% of the time, it's not because you're saying something wrong. It's because you're not just consistently doing it. There's this new template thing, and I got this new document, and I got this new ManyChat automation. I got this new Go High Level item that I bought. Like, yeah, all of those things. And you're on to the next one before you let the first one even work. And the first one truly should be you just doing you.
Yeah.
And replicate that and make it scalable and make that thing consistent. If you just do that for the next 12 months of your life, I promise you on the other side, you have a 6-figure business without having to kill yourself.
Yeah, and I think it's really important that you hit the nail on the head. And I think I can't drive this point home enough. Everything works when you figure it out. You have to take the time to put your fingers, find out the functions, identify what works and what use cases, where it doesn't. Mailers still work if you do them correctly. There are dentist offices that run very successful practices. My point being is that you got to give time stuff to work. If this were the one tool that you had access to, there was nothing else that existed. You put your blinders on, you put your head down, and you became an expert in that platform with that tool. That's the level of depth and mastery that you want to layer on every new skill on top of. Because frankly, if you don't understand emails and then you add social media and then you add shiny object syndrome because you keep adding something new to your lead generation tool and you have no idea how to manage those people through any meaningful pipeline, that's where you start stacking dysfunction on dysfunction on dysfunction on dysfunction. And that's where people get burnt out, they get confused, and they buy the thing that someone is promising is going to solve all of their problems, which frankly doesn't even understand their current situation or circumstances. So when we talk about part 2 in the next episode, which again, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe so you can stay up, because we're going to talk about different types of lead generation and lead nurture strategies and principles now that we've gone over what exactly a lead is in our next episode. So you're definitely going to want to make sure you're staying tuned, because New Year's is coming up and we do have a training that Steve's going to be doing on what those look like inside of our Rise CRM account. And that's going to be in our school account. That is free. Join our school network so that way you can get in there and you can also go through these resources and you're not left with having to buy a tool from someone that may not fit your circumstances or your needs. And you can actually make a meaningful, informed decision on what that looks like for yourselves. But I mean, Steve, anything to close out as we wrap up on like the overview of lead gen, lead nurture funnels?
Just stop throwing away time and money. You're inputting effort and resources into these leads. Mm-hmm. Get them and exhaust them. Like I know it's easy to say, get them to say no, but until they tell you no, they're a potential buyer. It's important to follow through with that. Otherwise, you're leaving so much opportunity on the table. We're all distracted by, I need more leads. No, you probably just need to handle your leads better.
Go deep instead of go wide, and that's the way that you win 2025.
Hopefully this was helpful. A little bit of soapboxy for me today, but it's frustrating to see people throwing shit away. So if you liked it, please subscribe, like this, throw some comments down there. Obviously, those things help us out more than you know. But otherwise, thanks for listening to us today on Beyond the Pump, where we break down the business of fitness and nutrition. We'll see you guys next time.